So we're going to back up a little bit on Yud Beis Amid Aleph, right in the middle. Am Mazutra Batuv Yamarav. Retzech Shiyatza Chutz L'Tchum U'Matza Goy Adam V'Hargoy Nereg Olav. A Retzech that finds that goes outside of the Tchum of the Ir Miklat, and the Goy Adam catches him there. The Goy Adam killed the Retzech Nereg Olav. He gets Misa. He's fully on the hook for killing him. In fact, come on, like Rabbi Yisrael, like Rabbi Akiva. Basically, Rabbi Akiva had a machlekes about whether it's a reshus or it's a mitzvah for the Goy Adam to kill the Reitzech. But both of them agree that if he does so, if the Goy Adam kills the Reitzech, that he's not going to be chayiv. So, Hu Dama Kiatan Tanya Belezer Aimer Ad Amdu Lifnei Aida LeMishpat Matam. What does the pasuk says mean when it says that the Goy Adam when he meets the Reitzech, it's Ad Amdu Lifnei Aida Ad Amdu. Well, Yomas Reitzech Ad Amdu Matam Lefishenem Baratzach Goy Adam Es Reitzech. Since it says that the Goy Adam could kill the Reitzech, Yachol Miyad, I might think that as soon as he sees him, he could kill him. Tam Ad Amdu Lifnei Aida LeMishpat, that the Goy Adam has to take the Reitzech, he has to bring him to Bezdin. So, according to this pshat, according to Rebbe Eliezer, there's no such thing of a Goy Adam getting hot-blooded vengeance, and he sees the Reitzech and he kills him on the spot. He always has to take him to Bezdin. He can take him. He's basically just a bounty hunter. If he sees the Reitzech, he takes him at gunpoint and brings him to Bezdin, and then Bezdin will kill him. That's Rebbe Eliezer's pshat. So that's why we said if he sees the Goy Adam and he kills him, he gets killed, because there's no such thing that the Goy Adam has the right to kill the Reitzech. What do they do with this pasuk? It sounds like that he brings him to a din, not that he kills him himself. How do we know if Bezdin themselves saw someone killing someone? Good morning, Menachem. Good to see you.
Good morning.
How do we know that that if Bezdin themselves saw someone killing someone, that they can't go ahead and just kill them on their own? Until Bezdin brings him to a different Bezdin. That means the Bezdin that sees him can't say, we're going to be judge, jury, aid, and executioner. It can't be the witnesses and the executioner. They have to go to a second Bezdin to decide the din. So they use this pasuk for a different limud, but Rebbe Eliezer uses it to tell you that a Goy Adam has no din that he's allowed to kill a Reitzech. All he can do is bring him to Bezdin, and then Bezdin will presumably kill him. Tan Rabban, im Yatza Hareitzech. We're on Yud Beis Amid Aleph, about a little more than halfway down in the wide lines. Tan Rabban, im Yatza Hareitzech. If the Reitzech goes out, the pasuk said that he can kill him. Ainli ela b'mezid, sheg minayin. That would only seem to say. The Torah says yim yatsa Reitzech. It's only if the Reitzech intentionally leaves the Ir Miklat. But what if he was going for a walk and he didn't realize he had come to the end of the Tchum and he left the safety of the Ir Miklat by mistake? From the redundant lashon, it says it twice. That tells you under any circumstances, even b'shayg. But Tanya, amazing nerag b'shayg goyla. We have a brisa that says if the Reitzech went out b'mezid, he gets killed. But if he goes out b'shayg, he has to go back into Gullus, meaning he just gets escorted back into the Ir Miklat. But the Goy Adam has no right to kill him, like Kasha. It depends on how you darshan. One brayse darshans yotza as an extra word, because we say there's no such thing as dibra Torah l'Hashem bnei Adam. Every word has a reason for it, and it's coming to tell you that even b'shaygik he gets the Reitzech is going to be open to the Goy Adam. Other mandama holds like Dibra Torah Lashon Kavanei Adam, and the Yatza doesn't mean anything. It's just that's the way a person talks. He says he goes out, so that's what the Torah wasn't meaning to teach you any additional limit. Amar Abai, Mistaber command Amar Dibra Torah Lashon Bnei Adam. L'chayra, it's correct that there's no special limit from here. Because it seems strange that his din, after he went to the Miklat and he left by mistake, should be different than his din of what he did at the beginning. Just like the person in the first instance when he actually kills someone. If he kills him b'mezid, he gets killed. If he kills him b'shogeg, he goes into galus. So too, it seems more likely that if he leaves b'shogeg, he shouldn't now get killed by the Gail Adam. It shouldn't be any worse. He got in this mess in the first place because he was a shogeg and he killed someone with shogeg. So when he ends up leaving the Miklat b'shogeg, it's also only going to be a dingalus. He's not going to be subject to misa. Tani chada, av shaharek b'noi nasa l'Gail Hadam. One brisa says a father who killed his son. A father who killed his benoi, his son, becomes a Gail Hadam. Means, let's say, Ruvain, Yaakov killed Ruvain. Shimon could be a Gail Hadam for Ruvain and kill Yaakov. The other Mishnah Brisa presumably says that a son cannot be the Gail Hadam. Let's say this is going back to the original machlokes we had to basically Akiva in a Mishnah of whether it's a mitzvah for the Gail Adam to kill the Ritzach or if it's just a Rishus. So according to the Man Amar, who says that it's a mitzvah, so you can understand why his son can even be a Gail Adam on his father. He has to be Mekayim the mitzvah of the Gail Adam to kill. But if you say it's just a Rishus, and we know that there's a lav, a son who kills his father or even makes a chabur on his father, is chayav misa. So for just the rishus, you're going to say he's allowed to kill his father? Mishari. The Gemara says, what difference does it make? If you're saying that we're going to take into account the fact that a son's not allowed to kill his father, so what does it make a difference? Even if it's a mitzvah, it shouldn't be allowed. A son can never become the shliach bezdin if a father is mechuyev Makkos or if he's mechuyev to get killed. You can never make the son the shliach bezdin. In that case, it's certainly a mitzvah. Right? The bezdin is carrying out the punishment. They made a decision he's supposed to get this einish, but the son, since there's a lav on him, it's also for him to hit his father. He can't be the shliach. So you see, except for the only exception is chutz mimeses. The only exception is someone who incites other people to avoid avodah zarah. That there's a special chumrah like we saw before that you can even entrap a person by meses. You don't look after the Adam. You don't try many chumras in the din of meses. But other than that, other than the din of meses, you can't have a son carry out a din Torah, a psak bezdin on a father. So over here also, even if it's a mitzvah for the Gail Adam to kill the Ritzach, even a son shouldn't be allowed to carry it out on his father. Eloi kasha. So you have to say that these two sheetas is not Rabbi Yisrael and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yisrael Glili and Rabbi Akiva. It doesn't make a difference whether he holds a mitzvah or a shus. Habib nai, habib ben nai. The one that says that a son cannot carry out, cannot kill. If he's a Gail Adam, he can't kill his father. That's talking about the actual son. But when we say a son can be a Gail Adam, it's talking about the grandson. It means if Yitzchak killed Ruvain, his son Ruvain. Yitzchak killed his son Yaakov. Then Yaakov's son Ruvain can be the Gail Adam to kill Yitzchak. But Ein Achanami, Ruvain's brother, or Yaakov's brother Esav, couldn't be the Gail Adam. Someone can't kill his father in the guise of a Gail Adam. Sagt the Mishnah. Ilan shu oimed b'toichat chum. B'noifoi noite chutz l'tchum. If you have a tree that's standing within the tchum of the ear miklat, and its branches, so the trunk is inside the tchum, b'noifoi noite l'chutz, and its branches extend outside, oimed chutz l'tchum, or if the tree's trunk is outside of the ear miklat, b'noifoi noite l'seich hatchum, and the branches go into the tchum, hakol alachach. It's all going to depend on where the branches are. And as Rashi says on the Mishnah, he says what the pashut pshat of this is that if you have, regardless of whether the trunk is inside and the branches are outside, or the branches are inside and the trunk is outside, if the person is standing by either part, either by the trunk or the branches of a tree that's branches are inside, then the murderer, who's standing by that tree, whether by the trunk or the branches, is going to be excluded. He's going to be considered to still be in the ear miklat, because the branches are in the ear miklat. And if the branches are outside, even if he's standing inside on the trunk, he's still going to be considered to be outside. We're always going to look based on where the branches are. That's as we're going to see in the Gemara. It's going to be a svara why that should be the case, why we go after the branches. But the branches, at least this is the havamin of the Gemara. The Gemara will go away from that in the end. The havamin of the Gemara is that the Mishnah is saying that the tree goes after the branches, and wherever the branches are, that's where the rest of the tree is. Legabe, whether the person standing there is going to be considered to be in the ear miklat or outside. Correct. The Gemara Veramini, I'll ask you. We say it din legabe ma'aser. Elon shehu oimid bifnim b'noite l'chutz. If you have a tree that's standing inside of Yerushalayim and the branches go outside, oimid b'chutz b'noite l'fnim, or if the brand of the trunk is outside and the branches are inside, mikaneged achayim l'fnim kol l'fnim, mikaneged achayim l'chutz kol l'chutz. Legabe, the din of ma'aser, right? There's a din you can only eat ma'aser sheni in Yerushalayim. We're going to disregard where the tree is, where the branches are, where the trunk is. It's always going to go based on the walls of Yerushalayim. So even if you have a tree where the trunk is inside and the branches are outside, you're going to disregard the branches that are outside. If he's standing by the trunk, he's inside the wall of Yerushalayim, then he's going to be considered Yerushalayim legabe ma'aser sheni. And if he's on the branches outside, then he's going to be considered outside. And vice versa will be the same thing. We don't care where the tree is and where the branches are. We care about, are you in the boundary or not? That's not like our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that the whole tree will always follow the branches. And we're saying legabe ma'aser that we don't care. In fact, the Gemara, ma'aser ari mikla karambes. You're asking from the Brisa about ma'aser on ear miklat. Ma'aser b'chayim b'tal rachman. The ma'aser attack only depends on where you're standing. It just depends on if you're in Yerushalayim or not. Ari miklat b'dira tal rachman. But our ear miklat, the Torah says he has to live in the ear miklat. So that depends on where he's living. B'noifai mister lay be'ikra le mister lay. Branches are considered to be a place where you can shelter yourself. Right? If it's raining outside, you can go under the branches, and that will provide you a certain amount of habitation. So branches are considered the habitation of a tree. So therefore, where the branches are will determine the status of the entire tree, legabe an ear miklat. So if the branches are inside, then you're inside. If the branches are outside, you're outside. Be'ikra le mister. Like you don't see the trunk doesn't provide any kind of habitation. I guess they never saw those sequoias like in California where they have like the tunnel going underneath. They're like 50 feet wide and you can live inside of them. Okay, so you came up with a clever teretz to distinguish between why meiser has a different din than ear miklat. But the problem is that even in meiser we have a brisa in where is that? In Meisers. where it says Fakert, the Tanya Bishalayim. This is talking about Maisa Bishalayim Halachachar Knife. That Lagabi, the dinim of Yushalayim, of whether it's considered to be Yushalayim and Maisa Sheni, we follow the branches. We don't just follow the where the Chaim is, where the boundaries of the city is. Bari Miklet Halachachar Knife, and Lagabi Ir Miklet as well, go after it. So this Brisa is very clearly saying that by Meiser, we don't say it's Basar Chaima, but rather you go where the branches are. Amr of Kahana Lekasha. Rav Kahana says, I can answer. This Brisa in Meiser Sheni is different. Har Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabban. So Machlekes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabban. The Tanya, Yehuda Aimer. V'ma'ara halach achar pescha, bilan hachar naifa. Rabbi Yehuda says, Legabe a cave, when you want to determine when there's a cave by the border of Yerushalayim, you go after its entrance. Even if there's a tunnel, there's a cave that extends outside of Yerushalayim, if the entrance is in Yerushalayim, you go after the entrance. Rabbi Yehuda says that Legabe a tree, you go after its branches. So you see, Rabbi Yehuda is this Manda Amar of the second Brisa in Bechairis, in Maisris, that said that you do go after Naifa and you don't go just purely Basar Chaim. But so he could be both the Manda Amar over here by Ir Miklat, and he could be the Manda Amar by Maiser that says you go Basar Naifa. And we don't have to. And we could say that the other brisa that said always go Basar Chaim is the Rabbanu Achaylik on Rabbi Yehuda. Now this gets a little svardik. Aim of the Shamet Leila Rabbi Yehuda Gabi Maisa Lechumra. It says you're saying, you're trying to say too much. If you say Rabbi Yehuda holds we always go Basar Naifai, maybe all we know is Rabbi Yehuda says Legabi Maisrus that we go Basar Naifai. But we should just restrict this to you could say Rabbi Yehuda is only saying this l'chumra. Maybe he doesn't hold fully that we go Basar Naifai regardless of where it leads us. He's just saying that l'chumra you have to take into account the knife. The knife is the more important designating part of the tree. So l'chumra maybe you should just follow it. And then how would it work out? He just said Basar Naifai. He didn't just say l'chumra. So how it sounds like it's either way. It's both if the knife is inside or it's outside. So the Gemara says that could be l'chumra in either case. So therefore, if the trunk is outside and the branches are inside, we'll go basa the noifay b'fnim l'chumra kehechad b'noifay lematzi park be'ikri nami lematzi park. So but we'll tell you when we say that it goes basa noifay, what it will mean is not that if you're standing outside and the knife is inside, that therefore you could eat the meiser sheni even by the trunk that's outside. It doesn't mean to say that. All it's saying is the din is you can only be paida your meiser sheni before you get to Yerushalayim. So Gabi, this din that you're not allowed to be paida. So if the ikra is b'chutz and the naifa is b'fnim, you're going to be considered, if you're standing by the ikra, you're going to be considered to be already in Yerushalayim, that it's too late for you to be paida. But it's not going to make it that you're considered to be in Yerushalayim, that you can now eat it as in Yerushalayim. And the same thing the other way around. Ikra b'fnim and naifa b'chutz. If the ikra is b'fnim and the naifa is b'chutz, just like the knife that is b'chutz, he's not allowed to be paida. He's not allowed to eat it when he's standing outside. So too, even if he's by the ikar, since the knife is b'chutz, he's not going to be allowed to eat. So only there's both a chumrah and a kula, both in standing inside and outside. Legabe Yerushalayim, legabe meiser. So when we said you go basar naifai, all that means, according to Rabbi Yehuda, is that we go l'chumrah that you're not going to be allowed to eat outside the naifai that's outside, Even if you're inside by the trunk inside, you can't be because of the knife outside, and vice versa. If the knife is outside, you're not going to allow to be paida by the trunk that's inside. So the Gemara seems to assumes that we would understand our mission. It says Lagabi ir miklat, also you go bus and knife. It means also in either direction, whether the trunk is inside and the knife is outside, or vice versa. We're going to go lechum. So we say bishlama ikroi b'chutz b'knife b'pnim. When the trunk is outside and the leaves are inside. We will just say it's a chumrah that the Gael Adam can't kill him, even if he's standing outside by the trunk outside. He can't be killed because the knife are in the ear mikl. But the problem is, how do you have a chumrah when the ikr is b'fnim and the knife is b'chutz to say that he's allowed to kill him when he's standing inside? That's not a chumrah. That's a kula. He's standing inside, so you're being makel on him. You're allowing the Gael Adam to kill him even when he's standing inside. So how does it work? Amar Rava koi be'ikroi dukule amalei pligidiloi matzikata. Says Eina Chanami. Rava says everyone agrees that we're not talking now about whether. We're not trying to say that because of this din that you go bus and knifei, that you're going to say that we're going to treat the entire tree, wherever he's standing, based on where the knife is. That's not what we're talking about. Both Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanim will agree that if he's standing by the main part of the tree and the knife is outside, which is the case that we're stuck on, that he's not going to be allowed to kill him. Because, like we said, we go lechumrah, and lechumrah doesn't move him from being inside to outside. That would be a kula. We say, he says, we don't, according to everyone, we say that the knife goes basa the fnim to tell you that if he's standing outside, it's treated as he's inside. No, if he's in the branches outside, that everyone will agree that in the ikr din, that Lagabi, where he's going to be placed, even the Rabbanim will say he's considered to be outside, even though he's in the knife, even though the ikr of the tree is on the inside. We don't care about that. We don't care about the attachment to the inside. And therefore he can't kill him because he's outside and he's in the branches, and the branches don't go basar the trunk. Ki pligi b'mahavi ikri darga l'noifa. The question is, when the killer, the Retzeach, is in the branches on the outside, and there's no way, he doesn't happen to have a bow and arrow gun with him, the Gael Adam, the only way for him to get access to this Retzeach is by climbing up through the tree that's situated in the Ir Miklat. Can he go into the Ir Miklat to climb up and go get him? He wants to use a knife. He wants to use his bayonet. So Marsa Vahavi Ikra Dargal and one man Dama says, no, it's not a problem. He can go inside. The Ikr is considered to go basa the knifei on the main part. So when he's climbing up the tree to get to the knifei, that's all part of the knife. So even though he goes into the Ir Miklat, he's not considered to be that we're taking the whole center of action into the Ir Miklat. It's just the trunk is sort of it's an accessory to the branches, and therefore the Gael Adam can climb up through the trunk, even though that's going through the Ir Miklat. The other man says no, he can't go into the Ir Miklat. That's as if he's killing him in the Ir Miklat, and that's what the machlokes is. But it doesn't impact the ikar machlokes of whether the knife goes basar or not. That's one teretz. Rav Ashi Amar, my achar knife, af achar knife. He says this whole thing is that's not what we're saying. He says that when the Mishnah says, and also in the Brisa, that by Ari Miklat you go Basar Naifai, it means in addition you also go Basar Naif. Meaning it's going to Rabbi Yehuda. Ein Chanami Yehuda is only saying L'chumra, but he's saying you go also Basar the knife, that you can go Basar the knife to be Makel, but not, it doesn't mean to say that you can be Machmir and say if the Iker is inside and the knife is outside, you could even kill him inside. It means you could also go Basar the knife to be Makel, to allow it that you can't kill him when the knife is inside and he's standing by the trunk outside. Zak the Mishnah. Harag ba'oiseh ha'ir. This is talking about someone, Reuven was a very clumsy guy. He killed someone b'shagig, and he went into Galus, and then he killed someone while he was in the Ir Miklat. Goyla mishchuna l'shchuna. He goes from one neighborhood in the Ir Miklat to another neighborhood in the Ir Miklat, and then he gets confined to just that neighborhood. Uben Levi, but if someone's not, he's not in the Ir Miklat because he's a prior Reitzeach who got sent there. The prior Reitzeach who was sent there can't leave the Ir Miklat because then he's going to be subject to the Geil Adam. That's why he goes from one neighborhood to another. But if he's a Levi who lived there, that was where he lived, then he goes from that Ir Miklat to a different Ir Miklat. So the Shechuna is within the same city, within the Ir Miklat. Let's say he killed someone. He was sent. Let's say New York was the Ir Miklat. Yes, you're right. So you go from Staten Island to Brooklyn. But if he's a Levi, you can go from New York to Chicago, to a different Ir Miklat altogether, because there's nothing holding him here. Your Levi doesn't have to stay in the city. But someone who's already sent here as a Reitzach can't leave the city. That tells you that this is saying to Moshe Rabbeinu. The Rebbeinu Shalom told Moshe Rabbeinu, "You're going to make a place." He was telling Moshe Rabbeinu that while he's alive, he's going to get the chance to make the first 3 Ari Miklat and Ever Hayard. And while you're still alive, you're going to make them. Makkos. So Vidashim Kaimcha Asher Yanashama, the place that you're gonna Kaimcha, meaning it's gonna be in the Ari Levium. The Machna Levia was treated as an Ir Miklat when the Yidden, but prior to Moshe Rabbeinu making the Ari Miklat, even after he did them, because like we said before, the Ari Miklat and Ever Yardin were not in effect until the Yidden made the other 3 Ari Miklat inside Eretz Yisrael, which Moshe Rabbeinu obviously wasn't there. For as long as Moshe Rabbeinu was alive, the Ir Miklat was Mkaimcha in the Machna Levi. Asher Yanashama, that he should run to them. That tells you they went to the Machna Levi in the Midbar. Mikan Amru, Ben Levi Shahar Goyla Miplach Leplach. From here we see that a Ben Levi, someone who killed it, so it was only a Machna Levia, that was the only place to go. So he had to go from one part of the Machna Levia to another part. There were no additional Ari Miklat. There was only one Machna Levia. V'im Gala Palchai Kalte. And if he goes to a certain to his city, it protects him. Amar Vacha Breder Abika Mikra. Because the Torah says he should sit in the Ir Miklat. That tells you that even though he was already in that city and he killed again, it's still going to be able to protect him further. He's not going to be stuck that he has to be exiled from where he is now. He has a din of galus, so if he has to leave, but then he'll be subject to the first Gail Adam. So the Torah says no. If the place that was already kailed him once can be kailed him again, he can be yaitza his galus with the same city he's in already. Zakta Mishnah. Ki yaitza by reitzech shegadol ir miklatei ratzu anshe ir lekavdei. Some people take out this ki yaitza by. It's not clear what the connection is. A reitzech that was sent to an Ir Miklat, and the people in that city want to make him the mayor where he is in the Ir Miklat. He should tell them you got the wrong guy. I'm a reitzech. You shouldn't be honoring me. If they tell him even so we want to honor you, Yakaba man. At that point, he could be makabel the honor. All the reitzech has to do is give his words. He has to just say that he's a Ritzach, and that's enough. Ma'alam hayuschar l'levim. Div Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that when a Ritzach runs their miklat, the Ritzach has to pay. It's just a din that he has a place to be saved, but he has to pay rent when he gets there to the Levi. He says no. The Levi has to take him in. That's part of the mitzvah of our ir miklat, is that includes it's rent-free lodging. Rameh was very makel on the Ritzach. He says not only does he not have to pay rent when he goes to ir miklat, when the Kohen Gadol eventually dies, he goes back to whatever his position was before he killed someone. Yehuda says no, he doesn't return to his previous authority. He starts from the beginning. He's a murderer, even if it's b'shegig. He doesn't return to his position. Amar of Kahana, machlokes b'sheish. These machlokes of whether you have to pay the rent, whether the person running has to pay his rent, is only in the 6 are a miklat that the Torah mentions. First, there were 3 in Eretz Yisrael and 3 in Chutz La'aretz. The Marsava Lechem Leklita. The Torah says, "V'hayu lechem ha'arim lemiklat." It means leklita. It just means that it protects them from the Gel Adam. U'marsavam lechem lechol tzarchechem. When the Torah says that these ir miklat should be for the Ritzach, it means for all their needs and they don't have to pay rent. But on the other 42, everyone agrees that the Ritzach, if he ran to those subsidiary ir miklat, that he has to pay rent. Amalei Rava, Rava says no. When it says lechem, it means that he doesn't have to pay rent. Where it doesn't say lechem. The Marsav of Aleim Titnu Kihanach, when it says on top of these original 6, you should make another 42, it means the same as the original 6, just like the original 6, the Ritzach doesn't pay rent. Aleim Titnu Kihanach Leklita. But one manama says it's just you're making another 42 that they're also going to save, but they don't have the same din that it should be that he doesn't have to pay rent. One manama says the machlek is in the other 42. One manama says it's only in the original 6. The question is whether the other 42 follow the same din as the original 6. We said he goes back to the same position. This Ritzach goes back to that he had originally. Tanur Rabban, says Lagabe a Eved Ivri, someone who stole and was sold into slavery to pay back his debt of what he stole. When he goes back to his family, Yoshev l'mishpachtu shav ein shav l'mashech ziko avaisav. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, just like he was machmer on the Ritzach, he's also machmer on the Eved. That when he comes back, he only goes back to his family, but he doesn't go back to his same position in the family, that he was the head of the family, or whatever positions he had. He returns for everything. Because the pasuk says he goes alachuzas avoisav, it means he goes back just like his avoisav, whatever his hereditary positions were, he retains them.
Read the second part of that pasuk.
He says when it says alachuzas avoisav, it says the pasuk says v'shavam shpachta v'alachuzas avoisav. What does the pasuk say? So we say the Rameh Darshan, I'm sorry, Rabbi Yehuda Darshan.
That why he goes back to not his original status, but the one that he had beforehand. He goes back to the lowest.
He goes back. Yeah, he starts over.
How does he read Chuzas Avayis of Yashav? What's a Chuzas Avayis? I thought Mistam it's read Pasha Chuzas Avayis is referring to like he gets the same status.
Let me see. It looks like Gura. There's a Gura. This was the Gura. Was that hay? No, it's not a hay. It's not a Gura. What is it? Someone's stelling on this. They're changing the lashon a little bit. Elachuz avoisav ke'avoisav. El mishpachtav evet every ksiv. Ki yezachav shiv yeshayel. Kashik avoisav l'shal. Elachuz avoisav ke'avoisav. Sefer the most of the Rebbe. And maybe you write it with Sefer Krash. Chayzel l'glish nema elachuz avoisav. I'll call it the avoisav. I don't know. I can't find this. Hey. I'm asking to you a question. I'm not sure. It looks like there's some gears to that we're missing. I can't find it now. Maybe that base will help us. It means, I guess it means lechuzas avoisav yashuv. Let's continue. I don't know. Maybe I'm afu shav l'mashech choksuku avoisav alchuz avoisav avoisav chen v'goyla. Shoyim yashuv l'rabes eretzech my v'chein v'goyla. What does it mean v'chein v'goyla? Kedetanya yashuv eretzech eretz achuzas eretz eretz shav ve'enish shav l'mashech ziku avoisav. The Rebbe Yehuda. Maybe afu shav l'mashech ziku avoisav. Gam sheva sheva mehasam. So he learns out shiva shiva. Just like we had by the Evet Ivri, we learned to say the same thing by the Reitzech. I'm still trying to answer your question. Let's see. It's like a cheat. Once I have this in front of me, let's see if it. Oh, because it's the extra word Yoshev. Shaval Mishpachta Mechuzah Boisav. That's to be marba. I think it's because it says for Shaval Mishpachta. So Mishpachta tells you that it's only Mishpachta, but not to Lamash Ziku Abaisa. It doesn't learn from Elachuzas Abaisa to mean the Shrara that is Abaisa. Mm-hmm. Okay, stop over here.